And then the left hand, like I said earlier, you can completely ignore what is written in the bass clef for the left hand. Those two notes or one note at a time, you can ignore that and just practice your C chord, because the symbol for the C chord is written on top, right there. So you have C chord first bar, C chord second bar, G or G7 chord, which we have covered. How to get to G7? Open your pinky down one notch, switch your middle finger for the index. So B, F, G is your G7 chord. You can always replace the G with G7, it's a fancy version of it. And then C chord again, C chord again, C chord again. Before last bar is a G7 chord, and last bar is a C chord. Now you practice your chords on its own first. Then a third recommendation, now you're humming the song as you're playing. And you need to play your chord exactly where it's supposed to be. So you have to follow the notes in your right hand as you're humming. Next bar. Hold. G7. Hold. Next C. Hold. And again. Hold. Then the D with the G7. I'm only playing left hand, but I know exactly when it's supposed to fit in with the melody by humming it. That's what I recommend first. Then there's this third stage. You're going to play both hands, but the left hand will be only tapping, pretending to play a chord. So, you know, you're taking out the difficulty of, oh, where is that chord? But you know exactly when to tap. You're going to do it exactly at the right place. So I'm going to play right hand, and my left hand is going to tap exactly where the chord symbol is. The first bar. And tap again. And tap again for the G7. And the fourth bar, tap again at the beginning of it. And the song begins again. Tap at the beginning of it. I hate this sticky key. And then tap again for the repeated E. And here's that G7 again with my sticky D key that doesn't make a sound. And the last bar is a tap for the last C bar, C chord. Okay? If the tapping goes well and your melody is played without hesitation, only then do I practice with the actual chord. And I aim for a very, very small chunk at a time. I'll just aim for the first two bars, which most people can play. Now, again, I'm supposing you could play your chords with 3 fingers, but if you don't, then you play only 2 fingers. And actually, those are the notes I wrote for the bass clef, the bottom line staff. I wrote the C and the G out of the entire C, E, G chord. That's why you only see 2 notes written for the left hand. It's basically your C chord, which is one pinky and one thumb in bar 1 and in bar 2. How did I simplify the G7 chord in bar 3? Well, I wrote only one note, the G, on top. Now, if you're really proficient, you can move your pinky down to B and you can play with it. That would be 2 notes out of 3. That's not bad, right? You could play 2 notes out of 3. But for some people, this would be like too much because you're like worrying about your notes in the right hand and you have to move your pinky in the left hand and it's too much. So what I wrote is actually the simplest form. You can see that the top note is still G all through, because the note G itself is inside your C chord, C, E, G, but it's also inside your G7 chord, which is B, F, G originally. We simplify it by just playing just a G. So if your skills with the left hand is good and you can play C chord and G7 chord and C chord and G7 chord back and forth, and you practice that technique, by all means, ignore what I wrote for your left hand and just follow the chord symbols on top. On the other hand, if you have not practiced your technique and you have a difficulty finding the G7 and it takes you like 3-4 seconds to find it, then take the simpler version that I wrote down here, in which case you only have a C and a G played together because they're stacked on top of each other, so you play them together in the left hand. And then again, in the second bar, and on the third bar, a simple G by itself, and then back to the two notes C and G, and again next bar is the same, and the next bar is the same two notes. The before last bar you have a G by itself, and the last bar back to the two notes. So really I wrote so many different versions depending on the coordination skills of each person learning. And as older adults and learning later in life, we might need this simplification, right?
Yeah, Dr. Do,
Yes.
yeah, I've never tried to use my left hand because I have a lot of problem coordinating. But the pinky that you have on the C, is that the middle C or is that one octave down?
The pinky where on the left hand?
Yeah. Is
In the
that the
left
middle C?
hand? No, here's middle C.
Okay, so it's
It's
one
the low
octave
C
down.
because it's a bass clef. You see the bass clef
Okay.
written at the beginning of that?
All right. Okay, got it.
Yeah, the right hand has treble
Thank you.
clef and it does have a middle C in it. So the left hand is one under. Yeah. So I would encourage you, Louis, to this version. Do this version. The way I wrote the C is simplified, and the way I wrote the G7 chord is really simplified. You only have one note to play out of three. So those are all options depending on your coordination. And then if you want to like improve on your coordination, then you might want to practice your left hand alone. And the goal of it is that this line with bar 9 to the end of the line will be repeated here exactly, but now with the melody in there. So the coordination is really hard here. But the left hand is only switching between the C and the G. When you see a high note, you play a G. You see a low note, you play a C. So if I had to demonstrate, because I haven't demonstrated this, I think bar 9, the entire line is for your left hand to practice. You only have two notes. Bottom note is C. Top note, G. Bottom note, C. G, C, G, C, 2. Top notes, G. Repeat that. 2. Bottom note, C. Top note, G. And C. 2. Repeat sign, go back to the beginning. Bar 1, bar 9 again. The next bar. 2. And this time I've done the ending number 1, so I have to jump all the way to ending number 2, which is the top note G, a whole bunch of it. 3, 4, and we end with the C. Held for 2, 3, 4 beats. So I've done my left hand alone for this fancy version of what the the song would sound like if I had the melody, which I've been practicing, same melody, now I had a little lamp, and the left hand is now the left hand that I've just practiced from the line above. Now, I'm going to play what it sounds like first, but then I'm going to suggest to you how to practice. So it will sound like this. Now, I'm really aware of my sticky D, so I'm going to move my right hand up here. It's just because I don't want to deal with a sticky key, but my right hand's supposed to be next to my left hand like this, okay? So here we go. The line that starts with number 15 is melody and accompaniment in the left hand, where I'm going to curl my fingers. You could see my left hand only alternating between the pinky or the thumb. If I see a high note, it's the thumb. If I see a low note, it's the pinky. Two. Ending number one is 2. At the end of ending number 1, 2. And then I repeat from the beginning. 2. Then I jump to ending number 2, which is left hand all on G. And they end on C, both of them. So that's how it would sound like. But how to practice this? So I would, if you have a lack of coordination, notice that when you're going from pinky to thumb, you're kind of shaking your hand a little bit like this, like you're opening a doorknob, right? That's called a rotation. So if you're able to just kind of shake it like this for the first 2 bars, and know that you go to the pinky first, then you shake it the other way, and back to the pinky, then back to the thumb, then back to the pinky, then back to the thumb, and back to the pinky. Now, that might help, or if you prefer, just play pinky. Just know that you're alternating this to that for the left hand. So your mind should be focused on the right hand. And you got your 2 bars. Right? Because the left hand should be on automatic pilot, because you're kind of like just going from one side to the other. So your brain should be thinking about the melody. You know what would help your brain to think about melody? If you hum your melody. So if you sing along, and just let your left hand go, and sometimes it might be making a mistake and it repeats a pinky. That's okay. Just keep going at it and try to let the left arm do its own thing, just going from one side to the other, almost automatically. The brain cannot focus on 2 things at the same time. That's an illusion. So sometimes you have to trust that your left arm, which is to rotate back and forth between the pinky and the thumb, and then your mind is concentrating on getting the melody correctly by humming with it. And if you're able to do the first 2 bars of that, that's great. Congratulations. I would stop. And the next day then only would I tackle ending number 2, which is 3 times the same notes. And the left hand 3 times the same note, the top note. And I remind each hand, what is the right hand doing in the first bar of your ending 1? What is left hand doing in your first bar of ending 1? And then I put them together, they play together. Okay, now the last bar of ending 1 is the one that's difficult. So again, remind the right hand. What are you doing, right hand? Little lamb, right? Again, right hand. Little lamb. Left hand, what are you doing? I'm shaking from bottom to top to bottom. And then alternate. Right hand, what are you doing? Little lamb. Left hand, what are you doing? Bottom, top, bottom. Right hand, what are you doing? Little lamb. Left hand, what are you doing? Bottom, top, bottom. And I usually end with the melody hand. So right hand, what are you doing? Little lamb. Now try 2 hands. Little lamb. And it might take you that long and that slow just to get that. That bar is not easy. They're doing different things. And then I would repeat it and repeat it at least 20 times. So pause the video when you're reviewing this and do it 20 times. And then until you get to go, okay, I got it. Let's move back to the bar right before where I have a repeated note. And left hand also has a repeated note. And I'm gonna start from there. Here we go. And what is that ending again? And if you hesitate and it takes you like a minute to find it, then maybe 20 times was not enough, right? Yeah. So chunk it up into small little bits. Some of these chunks are easy. This is easy. But then the next bar is not. So that bar needs to be rehearsed many times before you put those two chunks together for ending number one. Then you go back to the beginning and go focus on your melody, sing it. Try to let your left hand go back and forth. Then now it's time for your second ending. Well, left hand is easy. I'm repeating. So focus on your right hand. Fleece as white as. Ooh, I got it. Repeat that several times, 20 times. Fleece as white as, until you're smooth and fast in it. And finally, you end on C for both hands. Yeah, so don't expect that you are going to be just playing your two hands together, blah, 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 within the amount of time that I demonstrate for you. You're supposed to stop the video, repeat again and again and again, way more than what I do in the demonstration, until it's like, whoa, I got it. I can close my eyes, I can still do it. I can look up at the ceiling, I still can do it. I can hum along the melody and do it. Then you put the chunks together, right? I got my first 2 bars down, but I think my next 2 bars, you know, that 4th bar at the end of ending number 1, it's still kind of shaky. Let me work on that one. Work on the spots that needs work. And then you put your puzzle together and you get the whole song. And it would sound like. Ending number 1. At the end of ending number 1 is. And we begin again, repeat. Then ending number 2. 2, 3, 4. How to practice, extremely important. And the last example is just one where you don't play all the time, you play even less. You see the left hand is still shaking from the bottom note, but then it's holding, then it goes to the top note and it's holding. The next bar, again, the bottom note, it's holding, and then top note. Ooh, ending number 1, left hand has something to do here, and the number is your fingering number. That should help you. You're going down by a step. Number 2 plays on F, and back up to that thumb, number 1. And the last part of the ending number 1 is a skip away from that thumb, so it's number 3 on E, and then thumb. So you have more of a difficulty because now your left hand is not just doing pinky thumb, pinky thumb, pinky thumb. The difficulty is increased for the last bottom line. Then you're supposed to back up at 21 and play the first 2 bars again, the bottom top. Then you jump to ending number 2, and the number helps you. Number 2 finger is the index, so it's supposed to be F, and the thumb again,